Welcome everybody to 12 quick random comic book story reviews, where I blindly pick a bunch of comic books off one of my shelves. I'll say a few sentences about them with very little spoilers, and then I'll give them a grade. So let's get started with this episode. Alright everybody, let's start out with Preacher. This is book 1. It's the first 12 issues, and they're split into 2 arcs. The first acts as a loose origin for Jesse, while weaving in an excellent serial killer mystery. It introduces a cast of entertaining characters: Sheriff Hugo, his tragic son Arseface, and the scene-stealing super cop Paul Bridges. The second arc shifts back to Jesse's family in Texas, and it's easily one of the bleakest, most punishing stories I've ever read. It's brutal, disgusting at times, yet also deeply heartbreaking, piling one disturbing situation on top of another without letting up. You probably heard of Preacher. Is it really that good? Yes, it is. Should you read it? And that depends. It's writer Garth Ennis, so if you're okay with heavy doses of gore, sex, and harsh language, then absolutely. If not, this is going to be a tough ride for you. A-. Alright, our next book is Wolverine Get Mystique. This is a nice little 4-issue story by writer Jason Aaron. The dynamic and the history showcased in this story between Wolverine and Mystique is a lot of fun. Aaron not only writes Wolverine well, but he writes Mystique really well. He demonstrates how dangerous she is and how her power set is formidable, and she is also illustrated really awesome by artist Ron Carney in this book. Now, this story is an epilogue to Messiah Complex, where Mystique betrays the X-Men, and it's nothing amazing, but it is a worthy cat and mouse story, and Jason Aaron really nails the ending. B-. Okay, let's head to Batman Gotham by Gaslight. Can someone explain why this story is considered such a classic? I often see it ranked among the top 25 Batman stories of all time, and I honestly don't understand the hype. It wouldn't even make my top 75 Batman stories ever. The premise sounds fantastic. Batman in 19th century Victorian era Gotham hunting Jack the Ripper. And on paper, that should be an incredible matchup, yet the story feels surprisingly unimaginative. Writer Brian Augustyn had a unique setting and a wealth of possibilities to explore, but instead delivers what amounts to a fairly standard Batman plot with minimum use of the concept's potential. The artwork by Mike Mignola is outstanding and gives the book a distinctive atmosphere, but the story itself never lives up to its premise. For me, it ends up being a visually impressive but ultimately underwhelming read. F+. Alright, it's time to go to Thor: Ages of Thunder. This collection features 3 stories inspired by classic Norse mythology. So many elements will feel familiar to you. Matt Fraction does an excellent job capturing the voices of the gods, and the stories feel fresh thanks to a portrayal of Thor as a young, brash, and intimidating figure, far from the wise hero that he has become in modern Marvel Universe continuity. The conflicts center on feuding gods, driven by pride, short tempers, and fragile egos, which adds a lot of drama and intensity. The artwork is outstanding throughout, making the collection a fun read. Now, the final story, which was an original idea, offers an especially intriguing concept, and while I truly didn't fully connect with it, the rotating artists enhanced the storytelling in impressive ways. B. Alright, let's talk Animal Man Volume 2, Animalverse Man. I hate having to say this, but the magic of Volume 1 disappears almost immediately, and the drop-off is jarring. What follows is shockingly mundane by comparison, dull, repetitive, and weighed down by weak dialogue. The characters suffer the most. Maxine in particular feels inconsistent, even altered in personality. The art quality takes a noticeable dive, and for most of the volume, the story just spins its wheels. But to be fair, the final stretch, issues 9 to 11, do manage to recover a good amount of momentum, giving the book a decent landing. Still, it's a tough read overall, especially when measured against the brilliance of Volume 1. D+. Alright, up next is New Avengers: A Perfect World. I love the whole incursion concept. Planets colliding, the New Avengers forced into impossible choices that ultimately tear them apart. Hickman's New Avengers brings back the Illuminati from Brian Michael Bendis' 2000 era, and anytime that group is involved, the story feels especially compelling. Jonathan Hickman's larger Avenger run spans about 96 issues and is often considered by some to be one of the greatest comic book stories ever told. But within that run, New Avengers might be the standout, and his fourth volume is absolutely stellar. In this story, Hickman creates a whole new hero team from another planet, and they're fascinating. Now, Black Panther comes across as the most frustrating character here, with a fair amount of internal conflict and second guessing, and Hickman has never written the Hulk well, but his take on Namor is fantastic. Overall, this deserves to be in the conversation for one of the best 4-issue story arcs of all time. A-. Alright, let's talk about Before Watchmen Comedian and Rorschach. A complete insult. If you want to have a series associated with the Watchmen brand, you better go all out. You better use every creative idea in your arsenal. You have to go for blood, and what we have here is an absolute failure. Brian Azzarello has done great work in his career, but this is a waste of everyone's time, attention, and money. This book has no reason to exist. No heart was put into these stories. It's not deep, complex, or wanted. Comedian was okay, but Azzarello totally missed the point of Rorschach. You could have threw any character in this role and it would have been the same. And actually, both feel like hollow parodies of the characters that we love. F-. Okay, let's go to Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Now this book is amusing. It's a charming story with endearing scene after endearing scene with dark moments added throughout. Tom King has already written a classic, actually classics in my opinion, but is this story a classic? It feels like it is, but my heart can't fully say yes. And I wonder why. Why am I not fully crazy about this story? I love what happens. My favorite issue is the callback to an older Superman story involving a planet with a green sun. Well, are there flaws? Well, I do feel people will have trouble with the long speech bubbles, the narration is long at times and it hurts the pacing. It may also be the somewhat predictable nature of the space encounters and the revenge-driven plot that holds it back. King does a wonderful job writing Supergirl, and the art is tremendous. It really has a dark fairy tale vibe to it. And as a Supergirl story, it is a classic. As an overall DC comic book story, I'm not entirely convinced. B+. Okay, let's go to X-Men, The Brood Saga. Now, I'm looking at the classic 1982 Chris Claremont 5-issue arc, and it really brings back great memories from my first read. The X-Men are completely out of their element here. They're thrown into a dire situation against the Brood, who are cunning, sinister, and absolutely relentless. You can feel the urgency the entire time, and just when it seems like things are resolved, the danger isn't over yet. Big shout out to the artist, Dave Cockrum, for making the Brood look truly menacing. It's an intense ride. B+. Okay, up next is Transformers King Grimlock, one of the dumbest books I've ever read. May have been the toughest book to finish. Mindless, foolish, the same conversation is had throughout the plot. I really mean the same repetitive dialogue. Grimlock strong, you weak. It's constant. He keeps saying Golden One and Red King or something. I have no idea and I could not care less. Now, the art is pretty awesome, and when Grimlock transforms to his T-Rex mode, it is pretty cool. But this is an F. Okay, let's go to Cable, Messiah War, War Baby Volume 1. Cable's journey jumping through time to protect Hope has always been one of the most compelling aspects of this Marvel event. In this story, Hope is still an infant, and watching the battle-hardened Cable handle the everyday challenges of caring for a baby adds a surprisingly heartfelt dimension to the narrative. And at the same time, the book delivers action and tension. One of the story's greatest strengths is its minimum dialogue, allowing the atmosphere and visual storytelling to carry much of the weight. Cable's forced to rely on his intelligence, resourcefulness, and whatever tools he can salvage to keep Hope safe from the relentless forces pursuing them. What makes the struggle even more engaging is that Cable is operating without his usual powers. The constant strain of traveling through a devastated time stream, coupled with exhaustion, starvation, and serious injuries, forces his body to devote its energy to containing the techno-organic virus rather than fueling his telepathic and telekinetic abilities, and as a result, every challenge feels more dangerous. The book is good, but it feels too small, too trivial to be considered great. C. Alright, for our final book, it will be One World Under Doom. This was a really pleasant surprise. It brought back that old feeling I used to get when I was fully locked into a Marvel event, completely invested in loving every minute of it. Writer Ryan North absolutely delivered. He stayed true to Dr. Doom. His voice, his intelligence, his sheer presence and power all felt spot on. I went in expecting a mediocre story, thinking that North might not quite get Doom, but he proved me wrong. The story kept getting better and stronger as it went along, building momentum in a really satisfying way. There's an entire issue and a half of Doom fighting Dormammu, and it's amazing. R.P. Silva did a fantastic job on the artwork, and the ending came so close to being perfect. The best Doom stories are always the ones where he loses, but not really, and that's exactly what this delivers. Doom is easily the standout here. Everyone else, Tony, Thor, Reed, Captain Marvel, they're all annoying. And the dynamic between Valeria and Doom remains one of the greatest relationships in Marvel history. A-. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching this episode. But I'll be back real soon with another 12 quick, random comic book story review.